join us today for the side event on the specific international program. The side event will highlight the value of the specific international program in facilitating capacity building and technical assistance to support the implementation of the convention. Although the specific international program has only been operational for 4 years, 24 projects have been approved for support through 3 rounds of applications. We are pleased to have 5 of our project partners here today to present some of their achievements, as we will not have time to present all the results. The activities of other projects from the first and second rounds continue to be implemented in coordination with the Secretariat, and the Secretariat is working closely with the newly decided 9 projects selected from within the third round to conclude their legal agreements. The specific international program, which is a direct grant-making mechanism, is essential to the success of the convention and the achievement of its objectives to protect the human health and the environment from emissions and releases of mercury from anthropogenic sources. During the negotiation of the convention, it was recognized that not all parties have the same capacity to implement all the provisions of the convention, and that developing countries in particular needed adequate, predictable, and timely funding, as well as capacity building and technical assistance to enable them to meet their obligations under the convention. Paragraph 2 of Article 13 of the Convention reflects this sentiment and tells us that the overall effectiveness of implementation of the Convention by developing country parties will be related to the effective implementation of Article 13. By the end of today's session, I think you will agree with me that CIP is indeed effectively advancing implementation of the Convention. The CIP is one of the 2 components of the financial mechanism of the Convention defined under Article 13, and which requires the provision of adequate, predictable, and timely financial resources to support developing country parties and parties with economies in transition in implementing the Convention. It is administered by the Secretariat of the Convention and is different from and additional to the Global Environmental Facility, the other component of the financial mechanism, as it provides parties with the direct financial support for capacity building and technical assistance without the need to provide co-funding or work through implementing or executing agencies or through larger and more technical and complex projects. In other words, these small grants are often for work that is too small for JEF, or at the times it can be a first step to get ready to apply for a larger JEF project. The CIP is managed by our party through the governing board, and I thank all the members of our governing board, including past, present, and future members, for their hard work to ensure the high quality of the program. The CIP responds to the specific and urgent work of the convention in its first decade. At the first meeting, the Conference of the Parties decided that the program would be established for an initial period of 10 years from the creation of its trust fund, with a possibility of extension for another 7 years. So as we approach the halfway point of the initial period, I'm confident that the program will continue to meet the increasing needs and demands for support for as many parties as possible. But this will not happen without voluntary contributions to the specific trust fund. Increased funding to enable the CIP to fulfill its mandates requires parties' attention as a priority. I would like to express Secretariat's gratitude to the 10 donor countries that have supported the program so far through their generous contributions. Norway, the largest contributor, Switzerland, Sweden, Germany, the United States of America, Austria, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Denmark, and France. The Secretariat also greatly appreciates the generous support of the Government of Italy for a junior professional officer post of the Minamata Secretariat for 2 years for CIP. I also thank our donors for their contributions. As I thank donors for your contributions, I remain hopeful that the specific trust fund receive timely and robust financial resources as well as other resources to enable the governing board of the SIP to launch the fourth round of applications. And speaking of governing board, I'm honored to be joined today by Mr. Praset Tapaniankul, one of the co-chairs of the SIP governing board, who will provide his reflections based on the experience so far with the SIP, and who will also moderate the panel discussion today. So thank you, Praset, and let me hand over to you. The floor is yours.
Excuse me, President. You are muted.
Yeah, sorry. I think it's already unmuted by the host. Sorry about that. Thank you, Monica, once again, and hello and a very warm welcome to you all. I have had the pleasure of serving on the government board of the specific international program, may I call SIP from now on, since its inception in 2018, and I have been firsthand its importance in facilitating capacity building and technical assistance to support the implementation of the convention. As called for by the convention, the SIP has taken full account of the specific needs and special circumstances of parties that are small island developing countries. Island developing states or least developed countries. The program has so far supported 6 least developed countries and 2 small island developing states. The SIP presents unique features, and parties to the convention should not miss the opportunity to take full advantage of the program. During the remaining 6 years of its initial term to implement the urgent obligations under the convention that lay the foundation to achieve its objective. One of the features that make the SIP so unique and appealing to applicants' party is its party-driven nature. The SIP is governed under the direct authority of the parties to the convention through its Conference of the Parties and managed by the SIP regionally representative government board. Confirmed by the Conference of the Parties, this makes the SIP directly responsive to the priorities, demands, and needs of the applicants. As Monica pointed out, the SIP is different from the JEF and special program. Yet these small but powerful SIP projects can leverage and lay the groundwork for larger investment to transform a party from one struggling with mercury risks to one that has overcome its mercury challenges. I think you will see from today's presenters that the work funded by the SIP is the challenging, detailed, national implementation work that promotes collaboration across ministries, strong stakeholder engagement, and greater public awareness. The generous contributions of the 10 donor countries that have supported the program and enabled the launch of 3 rounds of applications so far are highly appreciated. But as the 6th meeting of the governing board last August showed clearly, the mobilization of more resources for the replenishment of specific trust fund should be a high priority and is urgently needed to enhance the effectiveness of the program and allow the SIP government board to launch the 4th round of applications as soon as possible. At its 6th meeting last August, the governing board proceeded to deliberate on the 24 applications submitted to the 3rd round for funding and noted that concern that the funding was not sufficient to cover all the applications that deserved approval. I can say firsthand that the choices we had to make were very difficult. The government board encouraged all applicants whose projects were not approved for funding in the third round to consider applying again in an upcoming round. It is therefore imperative that the Secretariat continues receiving timely and substantial financial resources and other resources to allow the SIP and the parties it served to meet their full potential. So may I now request the Secretariat to present the video of 1 minute, please. So we have seen the video shown by the Secretariat. Now it's the real business, the panelist presentation. May I call upon our first speaker, Ms. Anahit Alexandran, the legal advisor to the Minister of Environment of the Republic of Armenia. And I'm going to stop by all the speakers that we have only 5 minutes each to present. Please.
Meeting for representative of private sector engaged in turnover of mercury lamps with an emphasis of those involved in the trade, sale or use of lamps. In order for ensuring smooth and successful project implementation, Project Steering Committee was established and including Ministry of Environment, Emergency Situation, Territorial Administration, Ministry of Economy, National Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Inspectorate for Nature Protection and Mineral Resources, Health and Labor Inspectorate, Custom Committee, Urban Development Inspectorate, Yerevan Municipality, National Academy of Science, as well as non-governmental organization. And there was 3 Project Steering Committee meetings during the project implementation. Please, next slide. Inception Workshop held on November and was aimed to present the Republic of Armenia obligation under Minamata Convention on Mercury, to present project main components and expected outcomes with appropriate time frame. Inception Workshop was held with participation of all stakeholders with the aim to present project objectives, tasks, and work plan. Determination of mercury-containing lamp streams was performed through identifying the type and quantity of mercury-containing lamps currently in use. Survey on lamp streams was initiated together with Armenian Women for Health and Healthy Environment non-governmental organization. Trips were arranged to 9 Marsis provinces and 13 cities, towns in Armenia. The survey and interviews were conducted at the following facilities: supermarkets, malls, shops, and pavilions where lamps are sold. During the survey, the amount of mercury-containing lamps was identified. Awareness-raising events was arranged in different marches of Armenia, and from March 2 to June 30 of 2020, Armenian Women for Health and Healthy Environment non-governmental organization arranged and held online workshop seminars on Zoom, Facebook Messenger, or Viber platform. Online seminars were arranged for various groups with inclusion of 170 concerned individuals, school teachers, representatives of various public organizations, medical doctors, representative of municipalities, NGOs, as well house views, farmers, school children, students and lecturers of educational institution, Yerevan State University, Yerevan Engineering University, as well Armenian National Agrarian University. Here is online seminar and discussion. Online 8 seminars were facilitated by Coordinator of Public Environment Information Center, ARUS centers, in 3 towns, Gyumri, Armavir and Yerevan, while in other communities by teachers familiar with online platforms. Determination of quantity of expected waste lumps per year and mercury threat in this expected lumps per year was done and report prepared. Quantity of mercury containing lumps imported to the Republic of Armenia in 2010 to 2019. Quantity of external lighting luminescent lamps replaced in the regions of Armenia. Replacement of mercury containing lamps with mercury-free lamps in marzes of the Republic of Armenia 2014 to 2018. And quantity of used mercury lamps, fluorescent lamps, mercury-containing tubes and waste generated in organizations of Yerevan City and marzes of Republic of Armenia in 2015 to 2019. Awareness raising and data validation workshop was held on June 2021 and was mainly aimed to raise awareness of stakeholders in adverse impact of mercury and mercury-containing products, including lamps, toward human health and the environment, to validate data obtained by experts during the period of project implementation. Review and analysis of legislation regulating issues relevant to mercury in Armenia. Development of appropriate legislation for avoiding manufacture of mercury-added products listed in Annex 8, Article 4.1. And workshop on legislative review and update and was held in June. There was invited inspectors, Environment and Health Inspectorate from all 11 regions from Armenia. Development legislation for avoiding manufacture of mercury-added products listed in Annex A, Article 4, will be finalized after approval of the Republic of Armenia law on mercury. Draft Republic of Armenia law on mercury was prepared and posted at the unified website for publication of legal acts, and on November 2021, draft law on mercury was considered by Standing Commission on Territorial Administration, Local Self-Government, Agriculture and Environment Protection of the National Assembly of the Republic of Armenia and approved at its first reading. Upon approval of the law on mercury after its second and third readings, the appropriate bylaws will be prepared as well. And final workshop on adoption of strategy for sound collection, storage, transportation, and processing of mercury-containing products, LAMP, was held in November 22, and draft strategy for a sound collection, storage, transportation, and processing of mercury-containing products, including lamps, was developed and presented to consideration of different stakeholders during the final workshop. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Anahit. May I now call upon our second panelist, Ms. Laila Divya from Argentina. She's the director of the Minamata Convention Regional Center for Training and Technology Transfer for the South American region.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for your support, the support of the Secretary of the Minamata Convention. Thank you, Marian, Irene, everybody, Claudia. It's wonderful to make this project with you. So then the next. Well, in the case of Argentina, was the beneficiary of the project capacity building program from the implementation of the Minamata Convention. This is 2 years. The project has had an amendment finalized at last at 28 February. The budget is here, and the partners, the Ministry of Environment of Argentina, and in the case of our Basel Regional Center was the implementing agency. So it's based in Article 4, based on mercury added products, and Article 19, surveillance and monitoring. Next. So the principal consultant team was a coordinator, a technical consultant, a chemistry expert consultant, and a legal consultant. And one thing with the gender, everybody, the consultant is women. Are women, sorry. Main activities was the component 1 and the component 2. Next. In the case of component Article 4 and the main national regulation to implement the Minamata Convention nationally was the law for approve the Minamata Convention. Many resolutions of the Secretariat, the Ministry of Environment of Argentina, you have on the screen 1971, 75, 443, 110, and the last is important because in one of the articles has also the gender in the case. So there are important things. The next. In the case of the component 2, the ministry with other partners and the legal and the chemistry consultant make an assessment of the economic possibilities of the technology in this case. This is paragraph C, sorry. Next. In the next, we can see also all the student timetable, the national training program. All the national training, we have training 150,000 trainers and persons. And there is also interlaboratory, and this is the webinar of the quality of mercury and measured. And we have also in print and publication. Next. So the most challenge for us was the purchase of the equipment and equip a local unit to support sampling, processing, and other mercury surveillance activities. Design and implementation of the lab type space, including a robust equipment, strengthen also a field team to evaluate the technologies and the equipment. This is the two. This is a challenge for us because we purchase the equipment. The equipment is the Ministry of Environment of Argentina is the owner, and the equipment is also in the university, in the Institute of Environmental Research and Engineering of USEM, and in the Environmental Laboratory of the National University of Avellaneda. So this is a very great challenge for us because we have to articulate, to arrange with many institutions in Argentina. Next. So at last, the equipment, this is some photos about the spectrophotometer and the automated metals digestation and sample preparation. Next. I think that is one more work. This is lesson learned. As I say, Argentina was proud and challenged to be the first country of access to the SIP funds. COVID, as all the countries and all the world have represented a great challenge, because we have to make this purchase, this training in a situation that is not the best for all the world. And the things that is so important, this is for the equipment, is the procurement of technology has probably been the greatest challenge of the project. Now, on the one hand, it's necessary to identify the most appropriate technology for our country and select the beneficiary of the technology. And it's important also to mention to the administrative change that comply the project commitment. This project began with one government and last with other government. So the coordinator of the project changed in this, but at last we can do it. So I was very grateful the secretary. I was very grateful the Ministry of Environment of Argentina and these authorities that help us to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila. Our third lady panelist is from Lesotho, Ms. Molobohem Juliet Petland. She's responsible for the implementation of the BRSS and Minamata Convention in Lesotho. May I call upon Ms. Petland to give a brief presentation at the moment, please.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair. I would like to thank the Secretariat for organizing this webinar, and also thank all the attendees for taking time to listen to the impact that the SIP project have had in our respective countries. Next slide, please. Great. So our project was on strengthening institutional capacity for the phase out and phase down of mercury added products. And the objective was to protect human health and the environment against mercury releases originating from the intentional use of mercury added products, where the ultimate output will be a phase out and phase down strategy for mercury added products. Now, we hope to achieve a gradual reduction in the use of mercury added products by switching to their alternatives. And the duration of our project is 36 months. It's coming to an end this May. Thank you. Next slide. Now, the activities in the project was to strengthen Minamata National Coordination Mechanism, of which we have used an existing chemicals management committee to also oversee Minamata related issues and coordination in the country. We conducted inventories to evaluate mercury added products and to see their extent of use in the country. We also conducted market research on alternatives. We need to be sure that whatever decision we make and the decision that we present to policymakers, that indeed there are alternatives in the market and they are available and suitable for the country. And in doing so, we also need to conduct a cost-benefit analysis in which we will be determining all the environmental and socio-economic costs or benefits that relate to switching to alternatives. And with all the information, then we'll develop a phase-out and phase-down strategy. And of course, with every change, there's a need to undertake awareness raising so that whatever change happens, it does not shock the public and everybody is well prepared, having had information well in advance. And the last part of the project will, of course, be monitoring and evaluation. Next slide. Now, for strengthening the national coordination mechanism, this part of the project, we were able to provide capacity building to our existing National Chemicals Management Committee, and for them to be fully aware of their roles and responsibilities regarding management of mercury in the country from their respective and individual ministries or institutions, because the committee is composed of stakeholders within the private sector and also the public sector, NGOs and the academia as well. Now, we updated our inventory from the 2016 inventory, and now we have a latest version of the 2020 inventory so that we are certain and we have a clear direction on what management actions to be taken and where to divert our resources to. Now, the market research study is also very important as it has provided information on available alternatives in order to inform policymakers and end users as well for a smooth transition. Next slide. In the same manner, we need the cost-benefit analysis that I have already mentioned. It will give us environmental and socio-economic costs and benefits to switch into alternatives. Now, with the information, we'll be able to develop a strategy that provides clear direction on phasing out mercury-added products with clearly distinct activities prioritized, roles and responsibilities defined for all stakeholders. Now, awareness raising is a very important and critical part of the project, where we need to inform all stakeholders about the vulnerability and the measures they can take to counter the impacts of mercury. And indeed, it has really, really worked, because we have been able to reach different sectors such as dentists. We have reached port officials and other government officials in the management of mercury, teachers, retailers, and government procurement system as well. Next slide. And this is a snapshot of our Inception Workshop, where we had different stakeholders from different sectors, the academia, different ministries, NGOs, and the health sector, where we had dentists and pharmaceuticals. Next slide. And this was when we had our dentist awareness raising workshop, in which we invited the Mercury-Free Dentistry Alliance for them to make a presentation to our dentists. And the workshop went very well. We left the workshop with dentists having prepared their own phase-out strategy for dental amalgam. Next slide. And I think in Lesotho, we have a peculiar case where mercury is used in some traditional and cultural beliefs. So one of our target groups are traditional healers and NGOs. And of course, because our ministry is the Ministry of Tourism, Environment, and Culture. So in this aspect, we are working very closely with the Department of Culture in order to address the cultural issues surrounding the use of mercury with explicit care, because some of these issues are very sensitive and we cannot just go in as scientists talking about not using mercury, but they have to be handled with care. And that is why we are working together with the Department of Culture to address this particular group of stakeholders. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Petlane. And I'll go to the next panelist from the Islamic Republic of Iran, Ms. Noahi Determa. She's the project manager in the petroleum industry and has been working for more than 40 international and national projects dealing with environmental issues. So the floor is yours, Ms. Noahi.
Again, hello again, everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about our SIP project today. My name is Noahi Determa. I am a project working more than 27 years at Research Institute of Petroleum Industry in Iran. First of all, I would like to express my thankfulness to Minamata Secretary and donor countries to support contribution and ongoing help during our implementation of my project. Let's get started and go to our SIP project. You might know that the chlorine is essential in chemical and petrochemical industry, and for chlorine production there are three main routes: the membrane technology, diaphragm, and mercury cell. While the mercury cell method produces chlorine-free sodium hydroxide, the use of the several tons of mercury leads to serious environmental problems. As you can see in the table, it was about 5% of the usage of the mercury in the world is associated with the chloralkali production. It was in 2015, and after the Minamata Convention, this amount is reduced significantly. Next slide, please. The Minamata Convention in Mercury is a global treaty to protect human health and environment from the adverse effect of the mercury and mercury compound. And the convention includes 35 articles and manufacturing process in which the mercury or mercury compounds are used, and set the phase-out date of 2022 for the mercury used in chloralkali production. The first round of the specific international program was launched in 2018, and the Islamic Republic of Iran submitted project implementation of Minamata Convention on mercury management in chloralkali plant in the petrochemical industry was one of the 5 selected projects in 2018. The duration of our project was 15 months from June 2020 to August 2021, and the main objective was to develop a guideline on a process of shutting down of mercury chloralkali plant, as well as on the waste management and decontamination site in chloralkali industry. The outcome depends on institutional frameworks and governments and takes into the consideration the involvement of the stakeholders and their cooperation. The project outcome is part of our country ownership while being in line with institutional capacity development. Therefore, it is sustainable through being applied for the future project. The project included data gathering, site visits, providing technical advice, mercury sampling, speciation, and analysis of mercury in different media, and preparing inventions of waste and contaminated material, as well as developing a job hazard analysis as a tool for health risk assessment. Other issues addressed by the project were a health and safety action, focusing on protecting of workers' health during the demolition activities, and plans for conducting biomonitoring. Next, please. The project was carried on, and after that, a terminal review is placed against 6 criteria. Next, please. In the terminal review, as you can see in this slide, the project results are as follows: address the needs and priority identified in the country, supported implementation of Article 5 of the Convention, Minamata Convention on phasing of the mercury chlor-alkali plant process, aligned with the Minamata Convention roadmap and undertakings of the Department of Environment, contributing to institutional capacity building, strengthening cooperation with the international bodies, namely Ministry of Environment in Japan and other international experts. A specific project achievement are produce a waste and contaminated material inventory in mercury cell chlor-alkali plant, develop mercury sampling and analyzing methods in different media, the definition of the controlling measure based on the gender-sensitive health risk assessment method, and prepared a guideline on the decommissioning process of the mercury cell in the petrochemical industry, which can be used across similar industries. And about the project impacts, improve protection of environment and human health through reduction of mercury emissions and releases, reduce mercury-related harmful effects on wildlife. This is a major concern as the Abadan petrochemical company is located near to water resources. Contribution to global environmental effects toward sustainable development as a result of the environmentally sound management of mercury and mercury waste. Contribution to the promotion of the Minamata Convention at the national level, and project sustainability in long term includes the outcome depends on institutional frameworks and governance and takes into the consideration the involvement of stakeholders and their cooperation. The outcome is part of the country ownership while being in line with the institutional capacity development. And the lesson learned: motivated, coordinated, and experienced team, professional planning, clear rules and responsibility, and adequate resources, a clear understanding of the benefits of implementing of the project, experience and knowledge to be shared with the international entities and other project implementers, method of sampling and analyzing of mercury and mercury compounds applicable to the other project, role of government, incentive for decommissioning, cooperation with experienced partner, and training. And finally, our recommendations after the project is infrastructure and capacity developed through the project can be transferred to future programs and intervention aimed at supporting the implementation of obligation under the convention, the provision of financial and technical assistance to developing parties could support the implementation of the Minamata Convention, and the Islamic Republic of Iran Department of Environmental as the national authority of the Minamata Convention has addressed the issues on the mercury release and emission as well as mercury waste and contaminated site management. Thus, the implementation of the project contributed to the achievement of the objective outlined in the DOE roadmap. Thank you. Again, thank you for such a great capacity which was built in our country to make mercury history.
Thank you to the last panelist from the Republic of Moldova, Ms. Christina Lesnik, who is the legal advisor with more than 15 years of experience in the Central Public Administration of the Republic of Moldova.
Christina, you're muted. You're muted. You can unmute yourself.
I hope now the case. And thank you for the invitation to contribute to this forum from the perspective of the Republic of Moldova experience and lesson learned. It is a pleasure to share the stage with you, virtual stage for the moment. And I think this is only the first time, and maybe not even that we share the stage together. I would like to thank you to organizers for such event and the panelists for an important achievement that I think inspire all of us, namely how to improve pre-Mercury world and how to reduce the risk and threats associated with the Mercury, including the implementation of the Minamata Convention. The architecture of the environmental world that we all face today is different from even a few years ago, and Moldova is not an exception. We are proud to say that our cooperation with UN agencies, in particular with UNEP and partners, is very fruitful. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank to the Secretariat and to the donors for the support and friendly approach to our request. Some examples may be relevant, and I would like to go directly to my presentation. Moldova is implementing the C project for the period 2020-2023 for 33 months, and this project includes 4 main areas. The first objective is to appropriate the legal framework and institutional framework. The second objective is to increase and to build the technical and operational capacity of national authority according to extending producer responsibility scheme. The next objective is to expose the mercury-containing measuring devices used in the health sector, particularly among women and children. And the last one is the regional workshop in order to share lesson learned and experience. Moldova is the part of international community, and we are focusing to contribute to a safer world. Here in the picture you will see several important steps that has been undertaken by Moldova to facilitate the implementation of the Minamata Convention. I would like here to emphasize that we try to be an example for other partners. In this way, we conducting mercury release inventory from main sources. We adopted the new law on waste. We adopted regulation that introduced EPR principle and also chemical law that restricts and prohibits place on market for several mercury-containing products. These areas are important during the implementation of the SEED project, and namely here in the picture you will see. One of them is the development of the national legal framework. Since 1st January 2022, we prohibited the import of the mercury devices. We adopted the new regulation on batteries and accumulations and waste of battery and accumulations. We drafted the new project guide on environmentally sound management mercury-containing waste. Another result that I would like to emphasize, this is the communication strategy. According to this communication strategy based on the mercury, we try to use this information to ensure visibility among all national institutions, but also during the COVID-19 outbreak, we elaborate several pictograms with QR code, especially focusing for women and children. We also build capacity via several training. One of the training that we started previous year was on the safe storage of mercury for central and local authority. You can see here in the picture several pictograms that we use in order to ensure this visibility. And I would like to mention that during the educational training, we also inform schools, teachers, and students. We collaborate very good with Ministry of Education, also with the health sector, and also with the independent experts. The next slide, please. For us, it's important to continue our process of the implementation of the SIP project. For this reason, we now are in the process to finalize the draft plan operational for EPR scheme. So we expect during the March to organize a training for the business in order to elaborate the first operational plan for EPR. As you understand, the Republic of Moldova now in the middle of Europe, where we have close to us the war in Ukraine. And of course, I would like to emphasize the fact that we also continue to have some new challenges. This is COVID outbreak. Also, the law enforcement agency reported mercury crime evidence that should be part of the new project. A small number of countries from the Europe ratified the Minamata Convention, and we should inspire them to be part of these international efforts. But also a problem, internal problem regarding to conflict in the Transnistrian region. This is uncontrolled by Moldovan authority territory. So, of course, during this 1.5 year, some factor of positive impact already can be emphasized. We have a political will from the government to continue the implementation of the project. A new Ministry of Environment was created as a separate entity, and also the EPIU continued to also implement the SIP project. Of course, without any funds from UNEP, we couldn't implement this project, and the financial support and good communication with the Minamata Convention Secretary is crucial for us. Involvement of the local and central public administration in the process of the implementation is also creating the equal opportunity and equal experience for the central and local level authority. And not the last, this is the enhancement of the legal and institutional framework in order to build new capability of the national authority, which competences is linked to the environment. Thank you for the presentation, and I will be able, if somebody or someone want to raise some question. Thank you.
And thank you, Christina, and thank you all once again. That include all the panelists' presentation. As we can see now that our presentation proved to be a superb research that cover diverse issues and all salient environmental aspect that proved to be very successful. And I would like to congratulate to you all. We come to the final agenda for the question and answers segment. I would like the Secretariat to sort of gather all around the questions that the panelists may like to answer to some. Please, the Secretariat.
Thank you so much, Prezert, and thank you to our excellent panelists. The first question that came in was from Mr. Pathé from Senegal, and he asks if it would be possible on the basis of these experiences to develop standard guides for the implementation of the SIP projects that the other parties could use in their countries. And if I might take this opportunity just to give my initial response to that, we really appreciate this suggestion because we do work very hard to make the link between approaches and tools coming forward. to inform our broader capacity building and technical assistance work. And we do want to make materials and tools available in line with our understanding of the needs being expressed by our parties. And I noticed that Argentina has put in the chat their willingness and eagerness to help with these efforts based on all the materials and tools that they have developed. So in the specific international program, of course, each project will be unique to the national circumstances. But we could consider and discuss with our governing board pulling together some best practices in project implementation. And we do have in our SIP application guidelines a lot of information in this regard, but we would be happy to try to do more, and we'll discuss that with the board. President, I don't know if you would like to add anything from the board's perspective in that regard?
Frankly speaking, I think all the projects are very well designed and carried out, you know, in a very systematic way, and it proved to be a good result and outcome. And I just wish that all the project, the outcome will be will lay like the groundwork for the next opportunity to invest and then try to commercialize or bring the benefit to the countries and the neighborhood. And with all of that, I think it's successful. I think we have to congratulate all of them.
I am not seeing any other questions in the chat, which I think means that our information was very informative. And but there are a lot of positive sentiments being expressed. So I'm just going to check with my colleagues, with Irene or anyone else. Do you see any other questions that I've missed? No. Okay. Well, that looks like very good timing. So I'd like to ask Claudia Tenhaven to close with some closing observations for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marian. And thank you very much, Prasad, and all of the project managers that presented their work today. I don't have very much time, but that is not a problem at all, to be able to simply say that the projects speak for themselves. Maybe two messages I would like to leave is the one is that it is very clear in how Anahid presented for Armenia, how Leila presented for Argentina, Juliet, of course, for Lesotho, Christina for Moldova, and Nahid for Iran, that countries chose topics that were urgent. Each of the projects you've heard about now are projects related to countries' obligations, parties' obligations to Annex A and Annex B. So either to timelines related to the phase out of products for 2020, or in the other case, a process by 2025. And this shows that parties are really committed to meet their obligations and are also very creative in trying to find ways to move forward the policy needle, the knowledge base in their own national setups to meet these obligations. And so we were very impressed to have these projects come to us, and we are extremely impressed to see the results coming now from already 3 projects that are being completed and the other 2 very soon. Let me also just say in closing that, of course, and as others have said, it is the support of the donors to this that enables the work. And so Monica mentioned the 10 donors that have enabled this work from the beginning, and it is just to reiterate our very sincere thanks to you for us then as Secretariat through the board being able to enable all of these colleagues to work around the world in very, very interesting ways, in very collaborative ways, to make Mercury history at their national level in the ways that they see as most needed. with that, you can see the background behind me is already for COP4.2, and so we hope to see you very soon. We look forward to being together with you in Bali, or if you are joining online, to be with us virtually in Bali. And we want to thank you again for all your interest in the work of the convention, and specifically in the work of the specific international program. With that, thank you very much, and wishing you a good rest of the day, and keep well and stay safe. And thank you, Prasad, as always, to you.
Thank you, and bye-bye to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.